So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, depending on when and where you are tuning in from. I'm really excited today to share this presentation with you from Get Wise and a little bit about myself and the ways that you can build mental fitness for greater resilience in times of challenge and change. So we're going to be talking about 3 key steps through the Positive Intelligence and Mental Fitness program to be able to do that. My name is Lisa Michelle Smith, and I am a Get Wise expert and a PQ certified coach, and we refer to PQ as mental fitness. PQ stands for your positive intelligence quotient. I help people, particularly female leaders, to build happier, healthier, more successful work and personal lives through using brain-based techniques, which one of which I will cover today with the mental fitness, and then teaching them how to strengthen their mental fitness. So the highlight of today is going to be my work in mental fitness. And so I'm really happy to share this information because it's changed my life and it's changed so many of my clients' lives. And it's such simple information to understand and to apply to any area of your life that you want improvement on. So let's just kind of begin and talk about what is mental fitness. So how we define mental fitness is that it's your capacity to be able to respond to life's challenges, setbacks, disappointments, and conflicts with a more positive and helpful mindset rather than a negative and sabotaging mindset. The impact of this can be felt in a variety of ways and areas of your life. So it can help you to create greater peace of mind and overall wellness, can help you with improving your relationships, with achieving more of what we refer to as your true potential, like the potential that's already locked inside of you, and learning how to tap into that more fully, to become a better leader. So leadership improvement through using these key techniques, and improving your resilience and your adaptability to be able to handle life's inevitable challenges, as well as change, because change is constantly happening. So we have to learn how to respond well to change instead of trying to resist it. So I want to ask you, which of these areas would you like to improve upon? Perhaps there's more than one of these areas. And so we're going to be talking about the application of this to a variety of areas that you would like to improve. So we're going to actually begin with a centering and visualization exercise. So I want you to actually participate with me right now. You'll get more out of this if you can close your eyes. It will help you to, closing our eyes help us to center a little bit more, get present, and allow us to tune out the distractions of everything that we can see around us. And when we close our eyes, we're able to tune more into our inner selves as well. So I want you to, as you close your eyes, just begin to feel, if you're sitting, hopefully you're sitting, you're not moving about. So if you're sitting, feel your butt in the seat. Just become aware of the pressure of that and the feel of the support of the seat chair beneath you. Feel your feet on the floor and feel that grounding sensation of your feet on the floor. And go ahead and just wiggle your toes. Wiggle all 10 of those beautiful toes of yours. Just feel the wiggling in your shoes, or if you're barefoot, just wiggle those toes and get a sense of them and the feel of the firmness under the bottom of your feet. And then bring your hands together, palms touching, fingers touching on both hands, and gently glide the fingers down from one hand down the fingers of the other hand, very slowly, purposefully, mindfully, down across the palm. And as you're doing that, just notice all the sensations. When you reach the wrist, bring those fingers back up the palm and up to the tops of the fingertips again, so they're meeting. And then do that with the opposite hand, just very slowly, mindfully, being aware of all the sensations, the temperature, the lines, the curves, the sensation of the feeling hand and the sensation of the receiving hand as you bring the fingers back up, touching again, palms touching. And then notice your breath, the sensations of your breath for a moment. And notice the sound that you can hear around you, a sound close to you or a sound far away, and without any judgment, just awareness of those sensations of breath and the sound and your body in the seat. And then begin to recall a situation, maybe recently, a situation where you had some kind of challenge or setback, disappointment, conflict, there was some change happening. And as you go back to that experience, just begin to remember how you responded to it. Did you embrace it or did you resist it? Did you feel challenged by it? Did you start to experience some kind of negative emotions as a result? Did you notice stress, anxiety, anger, frustration, a feeling of victimhood? Just think about negative responses that you had to that challenge, setback, change, disappointment, conflict. And as you think about the negative responses, notice how those negative responses impacted you, how it impacted your decisions, and how you responded, and any impact in any negative way that you responded, or any resistance that made that challenge get worse or last longer than it needed to before you finally resolved it or picked yourself back up and continue to move on. Did you let it go fully, or are you still ruminating about it? And then ask yourself, what might have been better? What kind of better outcomes might you have gotten? How much more quickly could you have recovered and moved forward as a result of engaging in a more positive way to that experience? What would it have been like if you could have had more positive and more quickly positive experiences and responses, and even perhaps found something beneficial or created something beneficial from that challenge or change? What kind of improvements could you imagine yourself getting from responding more positively versus negatively to that situation? And then go ahead and bring your awareness back to your breath, back to your body, back to this moment, and go ahead and open your eyes. Okay. So hopefully you didn't fall asleep and you're still with me. But I do that centering exercise to help to bring to awareness how oftentimes you might respond in a more negative way to those kinds of situations and the kinds of negative repercussions that create. And we're going to be talking today about how to use the 3 steps of the positive intelligence foundation, the positive intelligence work to be able to create better responses faster responses, to be more resilient to those kinds of situations. So you have better outcomes and move forward more quickly. So we're going to talk a little bit about the research behind the positive intelligence. It's really a combination of positive psychology, neuroscience, performance science, and cognitive psychology. So combining elements of all four of these different foundations allows us to integrate the work of positive intelligence. The research includes results from over 500,000 participants from 50 countries. So this is being used around the world. It's been gathered from hundreds of CEOs and their executive teams from Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 500 companies, etc. Also from Stanford students, from world-class athletes, clubs, organizations, and nonprofits, and also couples and families are all using the positive intelligence work and gaining greater awareness of their ability to respond more effectively to life's challenges and setbacks. This is all summarized in the New York Times selling book, Positive Intelligence, which has been translated now into 20 languages and is continuing to be translated into more. And the book is by Shirzad Chamine. And so I trained under him in the positive intelligence work and became a certified coach to teach this to others. The results of factor analysis research shows that there are really only 3 core muscles that are at the root of building our mental fitness. So that's what I'm going to be covering today. And those 3 are the saboteur interception muscle, the self-command muscle, and the sage response muscle. So we're going to cover those one by one. And we want to understand a little bit about the brain and how it works, and what we call the saboteur brain and the sage brain. There are 10 saboteurs that we talk about in positive intelligence. And then we talk about 5 sage powers. And then there's the self-command muscle. And that will become the bridge between the two. So when we want to move from any ways that we're noticing our saboteurs taking over, and we want to move more into our sage way of responding, we use the self-command muscle. So we're going to talk about the saboteur interception muscle first. The main saboteur, like I said, there were 10 saboteurs. The main saboteur is the judge. And we're constantly judging ourselves, others, and our situations as bad, wrong, or not good enough. So I want you to think to yourself, how do you notice the judge coming up in your own mind, in your own life? How do you notice yourself judging yourself? How do you notice you judging other people or judging your situation as bad, wrong, or not good enough? And then if the judge weren't bad enough, we have the 9 accomplice saboteurs that the judge also brings in to achieve its goal of trying to help you, but doing it in a way that actually brings more negativity in. So I won't cover all of these individually, but I want you to think about these different descriptors of these 9 saboteurs. So there's the controller, the hyperachiever, the restless one, the stickler, which is like the perfectionist, the pleaser, the hypervigilant, constantly worried and aware of what could go wrong, the avoider, the victim, and the hyper-rational, which is all about facts and data and not emotions. So as you heard those different descriptors of saboteurs, you probably had some faces of people coming into mind who demonstrate that persona. And so as you're thinking, again, people in your life who have those types of personalities, also think about yourself and which of those personality types, what we call saboteur types, can you already recognize in yourself? The controller, the hyperachiever, restless, stickler, which is perfectionist, the pleaser, the hypervigilant, the avoider, which is like the procrastinator, the victim, or the hyper-rational. With positive intelligence, we actually have a great assessment, saboteur assessment that you can take that will give you the results to help you to better identify what are your top saboteurs. So this is an example here on the screen of how it would look when you get your results back after taking the assessment. And I'll share at the end how you can speak with me and be able to get access to that assessment. So here we see that this person is more dominant with their stickler and hyperachiever saboteurs. They're tied at 7.5. This goes from a 0 to a 10 scale. And so your numbers will vary and the order of your saboteurs will vary as well. Now you might have a lot of the saboteurs in high scores, but what we do in the positive intelligence work is really just focus on the dominant ones, like your top 2 or 3 saboteurs, and working how to identify them and how to stop their hijacking in your life. Now, the reason why we want to move out of the saboteur way of responding to things is because it motivates you through negative emotions, through fear, stress, anger, guilt, shame, insecurity, for example. And it might generate some outward success, but not overall happiness. So oftentimes the way that the saboteurs help us, try to help us to achieve success or deal with conflicts and change and confusion is something that maybe get us a seemingly successful outcome, but oftentimes don't create happiness, or we have happiness, but we don't have the success that we want. So what we want to do in this work is teach people how to have both success and happiness, but you can't do that through the way of the saboteurs. We want to learn how to do it through the way of the sage. Sage motivates you through positive emotions such as empathy, curiosity, creativity, passion, and purpose. It generates your highest success, what we call your true potential, and sustained happiness. So moving on to the next core muscle that we build is the self-command muscle. As I mentioned before, that's the bridge that brings you from the saboteur way of responding to the sage way of responding. We have to have something that allows us to bridge the gap between the way that we're thinking and responding when we're in saboteur mode to the way that we want to think and respond when we're in sage mode. And the self-command muscle is the way to do that. So self-command is using the self-command muscle is about basically mindfulness, these mindfulness exercises that we call PQ reps that are 10 seconds in length. And oftentimes we combine them together. So you might do one particular PQ rep for 10 seconds, and then you move on and you do another kind of PQ rep for another 10 seconds. And then maybe you move on and do another PQ rep for another 10 seconds. Or you might do the same PQ rep for more than 10 seconds at a time. You might do it for what we call 3 reps, which would be 30 seconds, or you might do it for 6 reps, which would be 1 minute. But basically you're doing these PQ reps that are like building your physical muscle, but we're building your mental muscle, and we're building the strength of it and your ability to respond more quickly and more easily to those challenges, because you're building up your self-command muscle and your ability to respond to greater and greater sort of mental weights. So we're actually going to do some PQ reps. And what I did at the very beginning, where I had you feel your butt in the seat and your feet on the floor, and had you focus on your breath and guiding your hands against each other up and down, listening to a sound close to or far away. Those are all examples of PQ reps. So the great thing about PQ reps is that they can be done with any of your sensations. So things you're looking at, things you're hearing, things you're touching or you're moving, even smells and tastes. So again, let's kind of do a focused practice of the 10-second PQ reps in a string. So I want you to notice right now how you're feeling, and if there's some agitation, some negative emotions from anything that happened before the webinar began. anything that's still lingering from something that happened yesterday or whatever. So just kind of tune in for a moment to any kind of unsettled or negative feeling that you might be having right now as you become aware of your inner self. And as you notice any of that sense of agitation or stress or frustration, any of the negative emotions, I want you to begin to focus your attention once again to the feel of the seat underneath you. And as you're doing this, as you're doing the PQ reps, you want to have your full attention and awareness without any judgment about what you're paying attention to, without any negative, just awareness, maybe a sense of awe, wonder, appreciation, or gratitude, but nothing negative and no judgment about what you're feeling. So just feel your feet on the floor, your butt in the seat. Bring your hands together. Again, fingers and palms touching like we did at the beginning, and gliding them slowly up and down against each other with full awareness, such attention that you can notice the lines and the curves, the temperature, maybe a ticklish feeling, or the sensation of the gliding up and down. And then notice a sound close to you or far away, and all the subtle things that you can notice about that sound. Then bring your awareness to your breath and notice all the subtle sensations of your breath, passing in and passing out. The temperature, the length of the inhale, the length of the exhale. Anything you can notice with such awareness, curiosity, awe, wonder. And open your eyes for a moment and just fix your gaze on one object in front of you. And just notice everything you can about that object with full awareness, the colors, the shape, the size, the distance from you, the curves, the edges, straight lines. And then bring your attention back to me. And then just notice now how you're feeling from when you began a moment ago. Notice any shifts in that sensation of agitation or frustration or whatever that negative feeling that you had, or the thoughts going through your mind. And notice any shifts that occurred for you. If you're feeling calmer, more present, more peaceful, more relaxed. If that negative dialogue in your head has stopped or slowed down or become more positive. So just notice the impact of doing about a minute and a half or so of PQ reps had for you. And now we're going to move on to the third core muscle, which is the sage response muscle. So the sage lives in the region of the brain that's associated with positive emotions, peace and calm, clear-headed focus, creativity, being able to see the bigger picture of things instead of the minute details, cooperation and collaboration. And the sage operates from what we call the sage perspective. And the sage perspective is about taking a different view of the situation, which I'll talk about in a moment. And it uses 5 powers to respond to those setbacks and challenges in a more helpful and productive way. So the sage perspective is that every outcome or circumstance, and you notice the word every is a different color here, every outcome or circumstance can be turned into a gift or opportunity. So the sage perspective is one of the things that we teach people to do when those setbacks or challenges occur, start to change the perspective about how you're looking at it, because the lens through which we are looking at things influences how we see that thing, how we interpret that thing, how we respond to that thing. So it's whether it's ourselves, or whether it's another person, or whether it's a situation that's occurring. And if we can recognize that there's always some kind of gift or opportunity within any and every situation, even those ones that at first we judge as bad, wrong, not good enough, or even tragic or horrible, we can always be able to find or even create a gift or opportunity from it. I won't go too much into detail about that, but I want you to just kind of think about that. Now, people, when we talk about the sage perspective and people are learning to do this, oftentimes people come up with really extreme examples about, something that's happened that they can't possibly find a gift or an opportunity in. And sometimes we need a little bit of distance from the situation to be less in the negative emotions of it, to open up our sage brain and identify a possible gift or opportunity, or find a way to create some kind of opportunity out of that situation. Or we need more things to transpire in a chain of events to occur for us to be able to then eventually look back and see how that thing, that initially looked like something bad or horrible or misfortunate, actually turned out over time to be a great gift for you. So the question for you is, which perspective is true? The saboteur perspective that this is bad, or this is a gift? So as you think about that thing that I just had you pull to mind, that you had some negative emotions about, some recent setback, challenge, failure, or change, ask yourself, is this the saboteur perspective true, that this thing is only bad and there's no possible gift or opportunity or benefit that you can gain from it? Or is the sage perspective true, that there can be that gift or that opportunity? Again, it depends on the lens through which you're looking. And the answer is, you get to decide whether it's bad or whether it's a gift. That's the power of the sage perspective. And we teach about the 5 sage powers of response. And this also helps us to be able to see that sage perspective, or to be able to respond more effectively to that person who we're judging initially, or to ourselves and our judgment of ourselves, or to the situation. The 5 sage powers are empathy, which is love, compassion, and understanding, even forgiveness. Exploration, which is about curiosity, awe, wonder, openness. Innovation, which is about coming up with new ideas, brainstorming, being playful and spontaneous with how you can respond to the situation. Navigation, which is tapping back into your purpose and your passion, tapping back into your North Star, which is your compass for your life, going back to what you value and utilizing those powers in order for you to respond to that situation. And then the activation power, which is about being fully engaged, having laser focused action. Think about it like the Jedi warrior in the middle of battle is very centered and focused and doesn't play into the chaos of the situation around them. And then we teach about 6 power games that you can utilize to put these one or more of these powers into play. And I'm not going to cover those, but again, there are specific different things that you can learn to do that incorporate one or more of these powers in a way that allows it to be fun to learn how to shift from that situation, from the negative into the positive. So let's just regroup for a moment as you contemplate those 3 core muscles and put this all together. This is the real simplicity of the operating system of positive intelligence, why I love it so much, why my clients love using it so much, because it is so simple. A lot of people have learned emotional intelligence, and there's a lot of different aspects of emotional intelligence that you have to learn, and it can be pretty complicated, but positive intelligence is actually very simple. So step number one, if you're feeling negative emotions, stop and immediately recognize that you are in saboteur mode. So the more quickly you can recognize that you're in a negative emotional state, and to remember that that means that you're in saboteur mode, not sage mode, because sage doesn't have negative emotions. Stop yourself so you can stop the hijacking and the continuation of the sage response. Number two is to do some PQ reps. So not only recognizing that you're in saboteur mode helps to stop it, but then creating the bridge between the saboteur and the sage by doing PQ reps. So as much time as you need to do PQ reps, as many PQ reps as you need to string together those 10 seconds of focus on one of your sensations or one of your senses. Do those PQ reps, more and more reps, until you notice the quieting the saboteur inner dialogue or the negative emotions, and you can begin to activate the sage brain, which operates from mostly from the prefrontal cortex behind our forehead. So do some PQ reps that will help you to quiet the saboteurs and start to make the bridge to the sage, and then assume the sage perspective. What gift or opportunity can you get out of this situation? How can you look at this differently to see something positive or possible out of the situation? And then number four, identify the gift or opportunity by using the sage powers such as empathy or curiosity, creativity, that innovation. Turn back to your purpose or your passion or your values. Sometimes challenging situations help us to remind us of our values, right? What's important to us and things that we might need to change in our life so that we're living more in alignment with our values, or what's some clear-headed, laser-focused action that we can take instead of just staying stuck. So another question for you. Oftentimes people ask this, is it really possible to just shift from saboteur to sage response, even in really tough challenges? The answer is yes, but the speed and depth of the shift really depends on your mental muscle strength. So as I mentioned before, just like we have to build up our physical muscles through doing strength training, right? We have to do more reps of weights in order to build up that physical muscle. And over time, what once felt like a 50-pound weight that we couldn't handle now feels like the 20-pound weight that we could initially more easily handle when we started. So those life challenges that seem a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, over time, as you build up your mental muscle, don't seem as heavy as they would have in the past. And you can handle higher level types of challenges better than somebody else who has a weaker mental fitness muscle. The success for doing this requires intense initial practice. So when I'm teaching my clients how to use the core muscles, takes a little bit of practice, but over time it builds up, and it doesn't require a whole lot of practice either. Think about it like this. You can't defeat a gang of 10 bandits by sending in just one new fighter per day for 100 days. So you need to, pull in a whole army. So as little as 15 minutes a day of doing these PQ practices for 6 to 8 weeks has shown to have that great impact on building people's mental muscle. And then all you need to do after the intense initial practice and build up is have maintenance for about 15 minutes a day throughout the day. So it's broken up. It's not like 15 minutes at a time. It's more like 2 to 3 minute segments of practicing PQ reps throughout the day, or practicing some of the sage powers throughout the day as things come up, to help you to retune and reset yourself. Now, I'm not going to read this slide, but here are some examples of measurable return on investment for going through the mental fitness training program. Increasing productivity and income for salespeople. When I work with when I work with a lot of my personal clients, say for weight loss, they notice that they're not turning to food as much as they used to because they're handling their emotions with the core, muscle building of the PQ work instead of using food to handle their emotions. They notice that they respond with less stress, less negative reaction to coworkers who they find difficult, or they have less negative internal judgment dialogue. They have much better self-talk with themselves over time. So I'm going to end here, and I'm always open to questions. Like I said, my information about my profile on the Get Wise platform is down here on the bottom in that slide. You can look me up, Lisa Smith, 817 under the experts. You can book a call with me and let me know, again, whether you just have some questions about the positive intelligence work or some of the other coaching that I do that you can learn about in my bio. And I do appreciate your attention today. Thank you for watching. And I also congratulate you for taking this time to view this webinar to learn about how you can build your resilience muscle, even in times of great challenge or change. And so I look forward to talking with you in the future, seeing if I can help you to improve your mental fitness and help you to achieve more of what you want in your life, greater success, happiness, relationships, and well-being. Thanks, everybody, and have an awesome day.